it has to be said at this point, is there is one momentum killer for the Montreal Canadiens right now, as their power play stats over the past 5 games have lost them a lot more momentum than anyone would want to admit. And despite the Montreal Canadiens making this close, with Caufield scoring at the end of the second period, and really the team not playing a bad game, Jake Evans sniping a shorty, there's a lot of conversation about much more than just that, and we're here to dive into all of it. And look, taking a look at the box score, this maybe doesn't paint the whole picture of this game, and getting out to an early deficit, 1-0, it happens. It wasn't a great goal let in by Monty, but also it wasn't a great defensive possession by the team. 4 guys losing sight of a guy sneaking in backdoor, Marat Husnudinov. But right now, Jesse, the Montreal Canadiens, again, have just 1 win in their last 6 games. But look, there's a lot to talk about tonight, but I want to just maybe start on a positive note. I know that sounds crazy because we're not winning that much. Can you imagine, Jesse, if we had gotten off to a slow start this year? We're still second in the Atlantic behind only Boston, who's played 2 more games than us. And this is a team that has only won 1 of our last 6. So I want to start off like being pretty good, but there are a lot of concerns with this team that I know we'll get into in just a little bit.
For sure. We are getting points in those last 6 games,
yes.
But this one hurts tonight, Josh, just because like this one was just so close. Like we had our opportunities, and just after, 2 kind of difficult games here, again, was just so important to kind of get those 2 points here. Again, we had those opportunities with the 5-on-3s, with the power plays here. Again, just not able to take advantage. Again, this was a big game, Josh, because this was for the first place in that Atlantic division here. Of course, the Montreal Canadiens off to a red-off start. That's kind of paying them dividends now. And, they've kind of hit a little bit of a colder streak, Josh. Again, you have to feel like it's expected at a certain point, though. They came off really hot. They're the youngest team still in the NHL. You have to feel like adversity would be part of it. Came here tonight. It was part of it. They didn't have their worst game, but again, not getting those 2 points is going to hurt. But again, playing the game in a much better way tonight is going to help. But the power play was the difference, right? Like the Bruins were able to take advantage of their opportunities. We weren't, even though we got more of them. And that was probably one of the bigger storylines coming out of tonight's game.
Absolutely. And it's what so many people are talking about. I mean, you can go, if you want to go into Twitter, it's a bit of a landmine when it comes to the Habs power play, so be careful. But I like this one from Stu Cowan, and I think it summarizes it very well. Habs had 1 shot on goal in that power play. Pick which one, because it was all of them. And about 500 passes. Mind you, we had 2 5-on-3s, Jesse, that both lasted well over a minute each. And I think on one of them, we didn't even get a shot, right? Like, there was a lot of concerns with that today as we go 0 for 7. And the big stat that a lot of fans and analysts have really gravitated towards, and ourselves included, 0 for 17 over the last 5 games. And if you look at the last 5 games, we scored 2 today, 0 against Dallas, 1 against LA. We did score 6 against Utah and 3 against New Jersey, but even in those games, it's like the power play wasn't going. I remember that was a story after the Mammoth game. It's like, okay, power play wasn't really clicking, and we were wondering what's going to happen. And I will say, though, Jesse, Marty St. Louis pulled out some interesting moves today on the power play, and it's a bit weird to me because, like, I don't know if it was just me today, and the first one I want to focus on is Slav, who, by the way, had a great, like, second half to this game. After he got lit up by Charlie McAvoy, it felt like Slav locked in and was a monster, so shout out to Slavzilla, but he really wasn't playing the net front anymore, and I don't know if that's a coaching decision or if that's Slav himself, but I can't help but I feel like I'm the old man yelling at the cloud at every single hockey game, Jesse, yelling, shoot the puck, because I just know that one bounce here or there could very well turn into a rebound goal in front, and it actually nearly did, even for Slav, this game.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that was a big thing. Again, is we need a little bit more bodies in front of the net, but also shooting a little bit more. And again, we're going a little bit cold on the power play right now. The silver lining in all this right now, Habs fans, is that the power play, it's going to get back, right? Like, it was a little bit cold to start off the season. We then put Ivan Demidov on it, and we were clicking at like above a 50% clip for a good period over a sample size of a couple games there. Again, they just started getting to passing the puck a little bit more, and they're looking for those cross-seam kind of, passes a little bit too much, I think, right now. Really simplifying, the game, I think, a little bit. Just getting those pucks on net. We saw, that was, the game winner again tonight for the Boston Bruins. I don't want to put the blame on Monty, but you have to feel like it looked on that shot like he wasn't screened. And again, it was a little bit tough. We don't want to throw the blame on Martin St. Louis either, but I find it a little bit suspect with, a little bit of rest. We need a win of not going to Dobes, who's looking like is our better goalie. Again, it came down to, one shot in tonight's game here. So a little bit interesting, the goaltending decision. You have to wonder if they don't start kind of maybe going to Dobesh a little bit more here. I know we had a rough game kind of recently, and maybe that's why they're a little bit more shy of going back to him. I think we need to start going back to Dobesh a little bit more. But again, that was a big difference in all of them. But also, I think, Josh, a big storyline was we were playing well in the first because we were playing physically. And that was great. Like, this game started off in good old-fashioned, original six hockey, right, with two awesome battles going on between Struble and obviously Xhekaj dropping the glove shortly thereafter. But we were finishing our checks for the most part, and that was a big part of our success there in the first period. And I don't know if it was just me. It seemed like we got a little bit away from that in that second and that third period. So I think that's going to be something very important for the Montreal Canadiens to also establish throughout the game.
Yeah, and again, being the youngest team in the NHL and not having too many big guys who are willing to do that. Though, shout out to Jared Davidson, who did that a lot today. I thought he put in a ton of effort in his short time. He had a few shots on goal as well. Like, he was really helping drive that. It's exactly the energy we wanted to see. But no, you're right. Like, a team like Montreal, though, can get worn down if they're doing that the whole game against an experienced club like Boston, who has guys like Nikita Zadorov on that back end, who's not afraid to take and give that for 82 games a year and every game he plays in the playoffs. Like, it's just something that Montreal still needs to get accustomed to, like they do with a lot of things, being a young team. So, but I think you're very right. Like, this team plays great when they're fast and we're playing skilled. Like, look, again, it's evidenced by these goals. This little breakout from Struble to Suzuki, great pass to Caufield, and then even the other one here, shorthanded. When we're playing off the rush, Montreal's a great team. And, if we can add that physical element where we play good as well, if maybe those skill plays are not working, you're right. I think that could really work well for this team. So there's a lot of, like, again, signs of life here, but, Montreal still needs to turn it around. And again, like, the power play is one thing. Getting all your guys to click is another thing. The lines shuffling is another one. Like, look, we saw new lines today with Kapanen and Demidov staying together, but Kirby Dach joining their wing. Of course, with these injuries, with Newhook going out, there was going to be some changes. And I wonder if there's going to be some more changes next game too, Jesse, because we even got a hint at a power play change. Because as Nicolas Cloutier tweets, we saw it in the game, at one point, for one of their power plays, that seventh power play, Noah Dobson was deployed with the PP1. Now, Lane Hutson did have a shift just before it, but that hasn't stopped him before. I don't know if this was just a new look to try and get another one-time threat on the other side, but I don't really know why you need that if Caufield's there. Do you anticipate Marty to maybe juggle the lines again heading into this game versus Columbus? Because it is tough to look at one win in 6 games and say, okay, what else can we do? Like, we got to change something, right? But on the same time, if you're coaches and you're already juggling the lines because of injury, don't you also want him to establish chemistry? I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't make too many changes, but then again, Marty has been, I'll say, a little unpredictable with how he's deployed his lines at times, so it could make for an exciting practice to monitor coming up.
I don't expect any changes coming to the power play in terms of personnel. I just expect more of like kind of a message change in terms of let's get more volume on net, on the power play specifically there. Let's get bodies in front of the net. But also maybe a little bit of work on the 5-on-3 in terms of our structure and our alignment on the ice, because on the 5-on-3, it seemed like, and let us know too in the comment section if you saw this as well. There was like, we're 5-on-3, obviously, but we had like 2 of our guys were like basically below the goal net. So yeah, it's a 5 versus 3, but when you're taking away 2 of your shot opportunities there, it's like really a 3 versus 3-on-3, right? Where you can just pass a little bit puck. But I'd like to see a lot of those guys being a little bit more of those shooting options, especially Caufield, sometimes some of your best snipers, Suzuki, etc., not being so down by the goal line there and having them a little bit further up the ice there. But I think they're going to find it. And again, the silver linings, we know the power play can work. Again, we want to see a little bit more from Demidov, maybe not as visible as we saw him in this game here tonight. It's going to come around. We know what we need to do, but sometimes, like, so much has happened for the Montreal Canadiens. Just get those pucks on net, make a couple good passes, but not be afraid to let it rip when the time's right.
Absolutely. You know what? I want to see, like you said, Yvonne, I want to see him shoot more. Like, just straight up. There's times where I'm like, just rip it. Like, we saw that goal he had a few games ago. Like, the dude can rip the puck like crazy. So can Slaf. I love that Slaf was ripping the puck later in this game. He was shooting it a bit high, but like, if he can get that a little more on target, it's going to be nasty. And anyway, it's going to be very interesting to monitor what's coming up. But the good news is we bounced back from a couple of pretty brutal games, right? 5-1 and 7-0. Played a great competitive game with Boston, a game that was very winnable despite so many outside factors, with Guhle going out for longer, Newhook coming out of the lineup, juggling the lines, call-ups, goalie controversy. To come out of this game, look, we didn't get a point, still second in the Atlantic. We're on the right track. So let's keep that positive mentality. We're getting right back here Monday, Prime Monday, Monday, prime hockey versus Columbus, and I hope you guys are excited for that because that's a great opportunity to have a big bounce back game, get on the right track. That'll do it for this episode. Leave a like on the video if you want Montreal to win next game versus Columbus, and leave your changes that you would make to the Habs lineup, power play, whatever you think they need to change. We would love to hear from you. That'll do it for this episode. Thank you for tuning in every single day. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.